The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk-adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today. Welcome to the show. Allie, this is your first time. It's awesome. James, this is your third. You may be the most repeated guest on with it, like that has different projects. You know what I mean? So I've had
Too many bands.
Yeah, I've had people on like multiple times to talk about their project, this one project, or But I think you're the first person that's in like 3 different bands that have been on for each band, which is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty cool. And there's another one that we haven't done yet. Eventually, we'll hopefully do Choke Up if you'll have us.
Oh yes, of course. I feel like I have a Choke Up record around here somewhere.
You must, because we gave them both to Mark Lind at one point back in the day.
Yeah. So when I was just a member of the record club, I had gotten Choke Up. I remember that. Yep. So yeah, I definitely have a record. Yeah, you guys are great. So welcome, Allie, for coming on, and I appreciate this. And as we were discussing, I was very hi. I'm Trev at the Boston Music Awards real quick, and I checked you guys. So I don't know if you know this, but and I always say the name wrong because I'm Italian, right? And I want to say Succi, but it's San Souci. Was one of the turntable picks when it came out. Jeff from the turntable had brought it to the table and for his local, and it blew us all away. I can't even tell you. I mean, 2023. I really don't know what happened yesterday. Never mind then. But I know it blew us all away. We were all super impressed with it. And
I remember listening to that episode and being like, "Oh my gosh!" I don't think our band name's been talked about on a podcast yet. So it's like so exciting. And I think Jeff introduced himself maybe at like NISA Fest or something like that, and just said that it was going to be on and that he was a fan and everything, and I was so flattered. So
that's
we
awesome.
were just a brand new baby band at that point.
So tell me about the name.
San Souci?
Well, no, Cape Crush.
Cape Crush. Yeah. That's totally a James question because it was a James band name.
Yeah, I've been sitting on it for a while. I came up with the name. So I used to play in this kind of indie rock band called Kittner. And before that band had a name, I had the name Cape Crush in my back pocket, and I wanted to use it. And we didn't settle on it then. I was like, okay, I'll keep it though. I won't tell someone else to use it.
Yeah.
And it was just I came up with it around the time that a lot of those bigger, poppier indie rock bands were playing Best Coast and stuff. And I was like, I don't really listen to that music per se or anything, but their names were cool and they were catching on. And I thought that Cape, we're not a Cape Cod band, we're a Cape Ann because we're up in the Beverly area. And then Crush just makes sense. You have a crush. So yeah, Cape Crush. It's the alliteration, the Cape Crush, 2 C's. It's nice.
Yeah, I like it. And I always think again, I think land Cape, and then I think Crush Soda for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
also me too.
Yeah, we've thought about that would be a great logo at some point to do like a soda.
Hell yeah,
soda.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. I'd buy that sticker, like
yeah.
That's so
I know
cool.
we've got to get that done.
Hell yeah. So I also got to see you guys perform when it was with, I can't remember the band. They were from like New York, I think, but it was a One Fall show.
Oh, with Tired Radio.
Yes. That was my first time seeing them too. So it was my first time. Well, no, I had seen One Fall before, but seeing you guys and seeing Tired Radio, and you guys were awesome. I was blown away by your performance. You guys look like you're having a lot of fun up there, and I missed you at Pooza. You guys played Pooza last year, and I missed that show. I forgot why. I don't know. I was running around doing something in Montreal.
We were at Turbo House too, which is so far away from the other Pooza venues.
Yeah. Okay.
Really cool venue though.
Worth going to.
Yeah. Really sweet spot.
Yeah.
that was my first time going to Pooza, and I was so overwhelmed because I wanted to be everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and then I do know. Someone announced like a secret show, and I saw it on their Instagram. I'm like, I got to go to the show. And it was like 20 minutes before. Then I realized it was from the day before. Yeah, so I was bummed about that too. But it's a good time. I like that style of like festival. I guess
I love Pooza, and I love that it happens at night. Because like you're at Fest and the music at Fest starts at like noontime, and so you're on all day. You're like running around. But at Pooza you have like a lot of kind of downtime, socialization time before the music starts, and so in some ways it's a lot more like laid back and like social of an event. We were just talking about it tonight because we're not playing this year, but we are strongly considering probably planning to go to Pooza regardless, just because it's such a great time and it's so close to us. We just want to support it.
Hell yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's cool to support it, and like it's funny. I always like to see bands from home.
Yes.
Somewhere else. It's like a badge of honor, I think. You know what I mean?
Did you go to the Ezra Cohen set?
I did.
Yeah, I keep thinking about what he said, because he was like, I'm looking out and it's like I'm at O'Brien's.
So who's babysitting O'Brien? Yeah, we're all here.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Did you hear any Massachusetts chants? Because we did a lot of those at that festival, and then we brought that to the Gainesville Fest this year too with all our buds bands.
Hell yeah. Now have you guys played Fest yet?
Yeah, we played the last 2 years.
Oh, you did? That's awesome. Yeah. So you guys, I see you guys are playing shows all the time, huh?
Yeah. I think like one a month is what we're averaging right now. Yeah, it's amazing, and it's honestly like we say no to a lot of stuff. I have such a hard time because like I want to do everything. There's always somebody asking me to play a gig where I'm like, oh, I can't believe I have to say no to this. But right now we're hibernating until the new record comes out, and we have one more Boston show, and then after that we're hibernating until the record comes out, and it's like it is so hard to stop. I really want to play live, and I want to say yes to lots of shows. It's like it's the most fun part about being in a band, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. So it's more fun than recording.
I prefer
James
recording.
Would disagree.
Yeah.
I prefer demoing and like writing and recording, and then shows definitely fun and cathartic, but it's my least favorite part.
You like the process. You like the guts, right? The guts of it all. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So like so we're we can't get into too much of the new record, right? Because it's not coming out until May. But I will say today. So I'm really bad at the internet, and Michael had sent me your guys' stuff, a little while back, and I was going through it. And I'm like, cool. And I heard the first single. And then I heard the new single's not out yet, right? And and then today I'm like, oh, what's this? Like, and I click on it, and it's like the actual like the press release right up. I'm like, oh, and I'm reading along, and I'm like, it was funny to me because like I had like this like blue tint to it. I'm like, did I highlight something? And I click on it, and it brought me to the whole album, and I'm like, and this was like, I don't know, an hour ago. I'm like, shit, I gotta listen to this, you know. So I'm really bad at interneting.
But it's a little too long
for the test.
I had it. No, it was great. It was great. I mean, I did skip the 2 songs I had already listened to, obviously, but like it's awesome, like front to back. You guys, this is your first LP?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that feel?
Technically pressed the EP on 12 inches, but it's the first actual long playing record.
Hell yeah. How does that feel to get an LP out there?
Oh my gosh, it's such a relief. We started recording this 2 years ago, and some of the songs are old. They feel really old to us at this point, and it just takes so long to get music out.
Yeah.
It really does. You got to think that like so many bands, like by the time they're releasing any record that they've done, like to them it's already kind of like old news. You know, like we went into the studio to first start recording this in May of 2024.
Yeah.
And a lot of these songs, like even Common Delivered, which was the first single, we were playing that like some of our earlier shows, like as a band. Like we had written the EP before we started playing shows, and like those songs were done for a long time too. So a lot of these have been done for a while. So it's just interesting. Like that's just kind of the way it works for everybody.
Yeah. I know someone that they had an album ready to go. 2020 happened, as we all, that's it's a tale as old as time now. And then like
killed many bands.
Yeah. And then the label was like, you gotta sit on it a little bit longer. And he was just like, what if I just snuck it out there? I'm like, don't do that. Wait for it to drop. You know what I mean? Like wait for the album release. And it was well worth it, So I get it. And like, I'm sure it is for you guys, like, because you said these songs that you've had them, some of them have been around for a long time. You're probably ready for the next thing already.
Totally. Yeah, we are actively writing and actually the EP. So we put out a split EP in January of 2025. So 1 year ago. Those songs were written after the entire LP. And then we have
written and recorded after the entire LP.
Yep. And then we have new stuff that we're working on, and we're like, now we've got this whole LP. We've got to get it into our set. We've got to figure out, it's really nice that it's finally coming out, but man, does it take a long time to put out music.
Yeah. I've learned that from doing this for all these years now, but I mean, I romanticize with like music so much, and like just like the whole everything about it, and I'm like, they must have just wrote this yesterday, you know what I mean? And it's like, nope, that's not how that worked at all.
So prescient. It's so, now as a songwriter, I think it's actually really funny. Like one of my favorite records last year was the Beach Bunny record, and there's this song on it. I forget what the name of it is, but it's like, it's hard to be human. And that, like the feeling of the song, I was like, I kind of wrote a song like with like a really similar theme. And, now this one's out, and I'm like, throw out the other one. Like, we don't need it. She said everything that I wanted to say in this song. It's just so funny how how it can feel so like so prescient or like so of the moment, and actually be so, so old.
Hell yeah. You didn't throw the song out though, right?
No.
All right, good.
I didn't throw the song out. Yeah, it's on the record.
Weird how I've seen that stuff happen so much. It's happened with me with my writing, right? Like I remember I was working on a screenplay with a couple people, and like it was my first time ever collaborating with any kind of creative project, because like I keep it to myself. I don't show anybody, so I was like, we were writing this like coming of age comedy, right? And like I had like some of it was written to be like real, I don't know, like just like college dude humor kind of, because I mean we also were writing this when we were in our 20s, right? So but there was a scene, I wrote this one scene, and it was like super specific, and then like one of the other writers is like, oh, I've seen that before. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like there's no way. And then like I was like searching on Google. This is before Google has like, you know, all the AI stuff and everything. And I'm like, and I can't find, I'm like, dude, no one has done this. And then I finally found a scene in the movie, like this comedy called MacGruber, which I've never seen. And it like had the exact same thing. And I was so mad. I was so mad. Like, I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. I want to quit writing. Like,
you're like, it never an original thought, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And I've never seen the movie, and I was like, I can't, like, and it was so specific. Like, I was like, it's got to come out. So I had to like change a bunch of shit. You know what I mean? It's like, it can be discouraging at times, but it's also cool in a sense where like with songs, with songwriting and stuff, or even if like, if I wrote like, you know, something that wasn't some slapsticky humor shit, like to see another perspective of it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also to know that like that, you know, artists, writers, songwriters that you love are like exploring the same themes as you, or dealing with some of the same stuff. I actually remember like really early on as a songwriter, actually, so like it must have been 2014, maybe, yeah, 2014, Sufjan Stevens releases Carrie and Lowell, which is an incredible album about grief. And I had lost my mom very suddenly, like 2 years before that, and all of my songs were like kind of like trying to chew on grief and you know what it was like to like being mothering without a mother, to be like a young woman without a mother. And then he puts out this album, like, oh my gosh, like you know, like he's, you know, really chewing on some of the same things as me. But it gave me pause. It made me wonder, like, you know, will I ever express myself like at that level?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's a gift to like hear it. And then, you know, I had that like, well, you know, why bother why bother if he said it all before? And then kind of the motivation of like, well, it's, you know, this is my perspective and my stories that I need to tell. And, you know, if somebody is making music that's this raw and expressive about like similar themes, then like that gives me kind of a license to explore these themes in my own way and on my own songwriting journey too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I get that with writing a lot. Like, I never thought I could be like, I don't know, like I would read Henry Miller or like Hubert Selby Jr., or, you know what I mean? Or Kerouac. And I'm like, I can never be like that. But then I found like writers who write direct like I do. And I'm like, oh, that works too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's the tortured artist, imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it. Like, it just runs through all of us. And that's one of the biggest things I picked up from this podcast. Like, it makes me feel better about like, oh, like that's another reason why we do this, right? It's like, we're not alone. Like if my favorite songwriter feels the same goddamn way, then I mean that's gotta be, you know what I mean? That's gotta be something, you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
So
agreed.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So all right. So I want to get back to, first I was going to pivot in this whole direction because I was watching the video for Calm and Delivered, right? Did I say that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And I can't read my own handwriting here, but I was like, is that a Volkswagen what is it? A
Cabrio. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at first I thought it was a cabriolet, and I was like zooming in and like pausing it, and then at one point it just showed me it was a cabriolet. I'm like, oh. It's like, so like the cabriolet was like the same thing but from like the 80s, right? It used like the rabbit style body, the little boxier one, and then the cabrio uses like the Golf style, I think, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah. Sweet car. Was that a rental? Was that something like you own that?
No, it's such a funny story. It's a great story, actually. So we decided that we wanted to drive a convertible in the music video, and I love cars. I, for a few years, worked for an off-lease German car dealership, and we sold lots of VWs, and we had lots of very, very interesting cars come in. So I'm a huge fan of the cabrio. Like, if I was a single woman living in Southern California, like, that's the car I would drive.
Hell yeah.
And coincidentally, Kat Mead, who's an incredible photographer, by the way, somebody who's involved in the local music scene. She actually writes for New England Sounds too, so kind of in our world. But we weren't really friends at the time. Like we just put out like hey, does anybody have a convertible that we can drive for the day? Because we had tried to rent we had looked on like Turo and stuff, and we really couldn't find anything that was like cool and affordable and could be rented for a single day. And she was like, yeah, I'll just come down, like, don't worry about it. She lives in Manchester, New Hampshire, and she's like, I'll just come down and do the, hang out with you guys for the day, and you can drive my car on. So like, such a gift. It was the coolest car in the world. There's like one shot you can see this like clown doll in the car too. That was her clown, Clancy, I think his name is. And so we just had this car that was so full of character for the music video, and that's the story of it. And it's British Racing Green, which is our favorite vehicle color. And to just sort of deepen the connection, when James and I first met, like, one of the first things that we realized about each other is that we drove the same car, which was a VW. I drove he had the all-track and I had the sports wagon.
Nice.
So they're basically the same.
They're the same.
Yeah,
same
yeah,
car.
yeah. That's
it's
awesome.
Different trim. And his, it was the British Racing Green with the brown interior. And when we filmed the music video, those shots of the cabrio are all filmed out of the panoramic sunroof on James's car.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, who was that a stunt? Was that a stunt pup, or was that your pup that's in there?
That's our dog.
Yeah, my dog. She's sleeping here. I'll give you a little
all right, yeah.
Little...
Oh, hello.
That's her. Yeah, that's
awesome.
Ripley.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Tula came over here earlier, but she took off, so she's probably on the couch sleeping. She sleeps on like a mountain of my blankets that are on the couch. She like nests them and does all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's what's happening
digs
right now.
them, and yeah, that's exactly what's occurring at this moment.
That's awesome. All right, so tell me about "Calm and Delivered," the song.
Yeah, so "Calm and Delivered" it's really about like. Well, I again, going back to themes that I'm sure a million people have written about, it's sort of this theme about like female anger and how, like, when you're a woman and you're mad, you're a bitch, and when you're a male and you're mad, you're passionate. and kind of like how unfair that is, especially when, as a woman, as a mother, like, everything is overstimulating. Like, everything is loud and hard, and there's so much responsibility, and there's so much mess, and it, like, all of it is always weighing on you, and you can't just like freak out and be pissed. So that's really what the song is about at its core. But it also kind of harkens back to like a memory that I had, or like a conversation that I had with somebody once, or maybe it was an amalgamation of a couple conversations where somebody was sage enough to be like, yo, like, get mad sometimes, be crazy, freak out, like, like, put your foot down, like, don't toe the line. And I wanted to write a song about that, and kind of like give myself, my younger self, or other people, like, the permission to, like, be mad sometimes.
Yeah. I live myself. 99% of my life is anger, and I stand by that. My work ethic, my dedication is because, like, I'm so angry. I just got to keep doing stuff, right? But I am definitely angry sometimes in an unhealthy way. Like, I can't stand baby carrots. Like, I think they're like the worst thing ever because they take too much. I don't have enough time in the day to chew one. You know what I mean? So, like, that's why, like, I'm not a big sports guy, because, like, I have too much. I'm so much angry about everything else in the world. I don't need to add that to it too, right? Like, because sports fans they're just nuts about everything. So, but, like, there is a good way. Like, we do have to not let the anger drive, but we do have to get it out, right? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, I was a person growing up where I would just bottle shit up until I exploded, and then it wasn't good, right? I'm a giant human being, and I've been a giant my whole life. So it's like, all right, I gotta figure this out. You know what I mean? And I think for me, it was writing. Writing was my thing that got me, like, it allowed me to express myself. It allowed me to convey emotions that I was feeling, because I didn't know how to do that any other way than be angry and, you know what I mean, be a little asshole, like, you know. So yeah. But it's a good thing though. It's a good thing to do. You gotta let it out. You gotta get it out, because I mean, you got to get it out of our system, right? That's just how it goes. You can't let it hang, because the more it hangs in there, the more you become the angry that I used to be, right? Like the stuff that just builds up and builds up and builds up. So, that's you know, and yeah, it's like the polar opposite of like you know, like you said, like, you know, if a woman's angry, then she's being a bitch. If a guy is angry, he's just being passionate. But it's like, no, you're being a dickhead too. Like, you know what I mean? But like it's I don't know. Yeah, I totally get that. And I appreciate the song. I think it's a good one. It's a good one. With that said, so let's talk, because yeah, the Place Memory, the song will be out by the time this comes out. So we can kind of talk. Can we talk about that one?
Definitely. 225.
Yeah, this will be out after that. So yeah, we'll be able to talk about that. So yeah, tell me about that one.
Yeah.
The title track.
Yep. Yeah, so Place Memory was inspired by an advice column that I read. I love reading advice columns.
I just read this while I was listening to the album. And
did you read the column?
No, I didn't read was there a link to the column on there?
I don't know, but I'll send it to you via
email. Please do, because
like...
I think this is super interesting on many different levels. Let's start with the advice column thing. You love advice columns, like.
Yes, so I love advice columns. This one is Dear Sugar, and it's in the Rumpus, and I you will really appreciate it, I think, as a writer. It is a beautiful response to a question, and the question is like the writer writes in and asks and says, you know, I really love my childless life, but I'm also considering starting a family. How will I know when I'm ready? How will I know? Will I ever be ready? Will I ever feel ready? And the columnist writes this really beautiful response. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like she talks about like the idea of choice. And if you know, like, tangent universe theory is like that, like every choice like breaks off a tangent universe, and that there's some parallel universe where you made this other choice, like, you know, you had children or you didn't have children, and you know, and that, you know, that was the divide in the road, and now there's a, you know, parallel universe where you exist and with that set of choices. And she talked about this as like just the idea of it as like being comforting, like that you're never going to know if you made the right choice or not. You just live with the choice that you made and take comfort in the idea of you know, the you that made this other choice being out there somewhere, and all you can do is you know, watch it sail and wave from the harbor. And so the idea behind the song is that, you know, that you would spend a day with this other you that made this other choice, and you know, and fix up the house. And you know, I guess it goes a few layers deep, but it's really about like being in my world for a day with my sister of another universe who made these other choices that I didn't make, and what that would feel like or look like. So yeah, I just really loved the theme of that answer, and I found it so comforting. And you know, hope other people find it comforting too. But it was my idea for the song. So
it's awesome.
Lyrically, like I love this song probably the most out of every song on the album. Lyrically, I think it's really fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So I feel like it's a good way to like think that thought process, like kind of like dealing with like any kind of self like regret or doubt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a decision that you had made. And because like I try not to live in any kind of regret. Like I mean, there's shit I've done that I'm like, I probably shouldn't have did that. You know what I mean? But like I've never like I try not to dwell on those things, you know, like I've never had I don't have children, and I've never had children. I don't plan on having any. And like, and if those are for reasons, I pay a therapist for those reasons, and you know what I mean. So I'm not gonna throw it at you, but like I'm comfortable with my decision now, you know. And I think there was a time where I kind of had to like talk it out and try to. And I think this is I think that's a healthy way of talking it out, is to think of it that way, you know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's really great for kind of like that analysis paralysis of like I'm at a crossroads and I can't decide, and if I don't decide, that's a decision too, and am I going to have regrets? And it's like, there's no like real comfort in like there's never like a time where you're like, I know for certain. I mean, I'm sure there is some people and some choices but there's always that like regret. Like there's always like, did I make the right choice? And like you might tell yourself you made the right choice and feel great about it. But I think for a lot of us, like there's some choice, and it's hard to get past wondering what would have happened if you made the other choice. And it's like, well, just imagine it. Like imagine it did happen, and take some kind of comfort in that imagination of it. So anyways, I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but go check out the advice column for sure.
I think I'm gonna. I think I want to check that out. I remember when I was a kid, like my grandmother loved the Dear Abby column,
yes,
and I never understood why like she never aged. I was like, because they would have like a little like photo.
Lots of Abbies.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? Why does she never gets any older? Like, what's going? You know what I mean? I'm a dumb little kid, you know.
Yeah, it's like the original comment section advice columns.
Yes, it is. It really is. It really is. So that's cool though, because like when I was reading that, I'm like, this is super interesting. Like I said, on multiple levels, like just like liking like it. An advice column inspired kind of this thing, and like that's cool to to kind of see that. And like, what have you always liked those like things like advice columns and stuff, or?
Yeah, I think so. My mom also really loved Dear Abby, and she would send me email me stuff all the time. But she emailed me a lot of Dear Abby, and then a lot of Dear Prudence, and then I became a pretty regular Dear Prudence reader as well. And I've just come to enjoy them over the years. Like I like the letters in. I like people's tea, and then I really like the response too of the columnist. Like I love kind of this like like balanced advice, because you read it and you're already wondering like, what is the columnist going to answer? Like how are they going to approach that? And you want to like, you're like measuring, are my values aligned here? Like, is my compass calibrated correctly? And the whole time, at least I am. And so it's really satisfying to read it. And it's like, either you're like, yes, I am calibrated, or you learn something new.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. I think I need to read more of those, because I'm always thinking like, so when I do like the struggling with ourselves episode, sometimes people will like write in emails, and that will be the topic of discussion. And I'm like, and I give my experience. Like I can't give anybody. I'm not a doctor. You know what I mean? So I can't give like mental health advice, but I can say like, oh yeah, I've thought of that before, and like this was my take on it, and like, so I think just from that perspective alone, like being able to read those and just see, because like I can see it as I'm gonna read it. I'm going to read like the whoever wrote it in. And then before I get to like the columnist part, right, I'm going to like form my own, like, this is how I would handle that, And yeah, I like that. That's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. And I think it's just a super interesting idea to have like surrounding a song because of something like that,
Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever read like the Am I the Asshole? Reddit.
I must have. Oh no, I don't know Reddit well. I'm not. Yeah, I'm really bad at Reddit. So.
Yeah, that's like another evolution on the advice column, I think. But yeah, it's just people being like, here's what I did I do something wrong here, like help me to know if I'm the asshole or not. And then you get to read all of these different perspectives on like what people think. And yeah,
I feel like you're just opening up a can of worms doing that on Reddit, though. That's like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, I also think a lot of them are fake. Like a lot of them are just like
yeah, that could be it too. Yeah, that could be it too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this about just like the whole album overall, right? So like I said, I got a chance to like kind of just listen to it all the way through. It flows very well. And I want to say like the last two songs I was like really into, and they had like a real like just kind of like not I don't want to say mellow vibe to them, but like they definitely like kind of like chilled me out by the end of the, like, you know what I mean, like just the flow of the music and stuff like that. Now how is that, like when you're writing these songs, like were you thinking, like when you were putting them together for the album, like did you think it was like, were you trying to go for that roller coaster thing, or?
Yeah, so I gotta admit, and maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag a little bit here. So the second to last song on the record is called Dotted Line. And I wrote it for James as a Valentine's Day gift.
How many years ago now? It's Valentine's Day on Saturday, right?
Yeah, so, I know. Yeah.
3 years.
3 years ago. Yeah,
that's
3
awesome.
years ago.
I never intended for it to be a Cape Crush song, and it is an outlier on the album. It is a weird track, but that being said, we had some production help from Patrick DeWitt, who's a friend of ours and actually filled in on drums for us back when Cody had his first surgery. And it's kind of like a postal servicey type song. There's a lot of surprises on this album, I think. Like I think that both Common Delivered and Placed Memory are really good examples of who Cape Crush is as a band. And then on the album we throw a wrench in that a number of times, and Dotted Line is definitely a good example of where we are throwing a wrench in some things. So I love those last two tracks too.
Yeah, they're great.
I think the intention of, even when you wrote I Care Too Much, like I think the intention was for that to be the last song.
Yeah.
And I think Allie wrote I Don't Care About Anything, and then I Care Too Much, which is the first song, and then I Care Too Much About Everything. That was the whole point. One was going to be the first, one was going to be the last.
Yeah.
And like as far as just like, the way that last song is kind of this like ballad. It's like it's like a 90s emo ballad. It's like very like, I don't know, very Sunny Day Real Estate. Like when I was like putting together the riffs and stuff, I was just thinking like how can I make this feel like, like more ballady, even though it's like kind of a loud song.
Yeah. No, I dig that. James, I got to ask you, like, are you ever not writing a song? Like, are you ever not putting together things? Like, it's just, I mean, you like it, you're super talented. You're in multiple bands and like, they all sound different from one another. They all do different things. And like, and I think that's a true testament to like not only your ability, but your palette that you like of music. Right. So like, does it ever stop? Does it ever like, do you ever need a break?
I do need breaks, and it does, but it doesn't stop. No, and I think that, I think you kind of hit it there with just like the fact that a lot of it is the fact that like I listen to so much music, and I've listened to so much music, and I continue to do that. Like it's such a big part of my life, like such like a wide, like I really love hardcore, but I also really love indie rock and like folk, and I also am a punk and love punk rock and like all this stuff. And so I've listened to so many records in that world, like, that like I have all these influences in my head that I draw on, I mean, and there are bands like that I'm in, like where like Allie is the main songwriter in Cape Crush, but like my job in Cape Crush is mostly to just like produce Allie, to make like her whatever songs that she would write with an acoustic guitar sound right for a full band, like to make them into a rock and roll song or a song that you would play with a full band, and like write whatever parts need to happen for that. And then there are bands like The Promised End where like, I would, write a full song, or and that's also cool. It's like it just does a different thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It tickles a different itch. Like it scratches a different itch in my brain to like, do the like almost like composing and like arranging for like Cape Crush or maybe Choke Up, than to like do like more on the writing side of the Promised End or some of my previous bands. And then with like Sky Tigers, just like learn to play hard fucking songs that I didn't think I could learn how to play. But
Mm-hmm.
that's different. But like, yeah, I mean, it all just comes from the fact that like I have a lot of influences. I don't know if I have a favorite. I think I like it all the same.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and so I want to be able to express myself musically in all of those worlds if I can. Um, and I know I'm going on a bit about this, but like there was a point like, leading up to the pandemic, like leading up to COVID and stuff, and I think a lot of people probably felt this way, where like I took this whole thing for granted. Like I was like not really in any active bands. Like Choke Up was slowing down, and like none of my other bands, I wasn't really in any other bands at the time. Um, and I was really unhappy. Like I got really unhappy over the course of that time because I wasn't doing this thing that I really needed to express myself. Um, and I felt like after that, I wasn't gonna say no anymore. It's like kind of like this thing that Allie's talking about like that you that diverges that like has these and you have these regrets. It's like, well, I know that there's one thing that I love more than anything and that I don't want to have regrets about, which is playing music. So I really don't want to say no to stuff. So I just started saying yes to everything. And unfortunately now I'm in 4 bands. So that happened. But I'm busy and
Yeah. That's
I
awesome.
am scratching that itch.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's how I know you've been on the show before, because you're like, they do different things. You know what I mean? Because like that, I'm always asking that, and anybody who does like multiple different, different things. Allie, tell me about your creative journey. Like, when did you start writing songs? When did you start playing music? When did you realize like this is a good way for you to, be vulnerable and get things out, and you know what I mean, and have a voice?
Yeah, I mean, I was singing in my crib. I was like I was a musical kid. I was, took piano lessons, took voice lessons. I think by the time I was in high school, I was regularly doing, classical music recitals, and I have a music degree in voice. So I always knew I was very like very musical. But it was punk that like really inspired me. Um I think I started going to shows when I was 13 or 14, and we were really lucky here on the North Shore to have a spot in Gloucester called the Fishtown Art Space, which had all ages shows. And that was like some early feelings of belonging for me. So that inspired me a lot. Um, Going off into college and meeting other people making music also really inspired me. And I think that era was like 2008 2009. And folk punk was like so huge. um and so acts like Mischief Brew, we're it felt like the barrier was lower. Like I didn't have to like learn how to like buy a bunch of gear, or, like learn how pedals worked and stuff. Like you could just be raw, like you could just be raw and unpolished, and you know do music wherever, pop up wherever. And that also, like that kind of ethos really inspired me, and also made me feel like, well, I can be a songwriter. Because the goal here isn't polish, it's like feeling. So that was like early inspiration for me for sure. I played with Tyler Bisson, who's Tragwag, in like a very early, well, I guess just an iteration of Tragwag. He plays full band now, but we played as a duo. Me on the banjo, and
Nice.
and him on the guitar. And and we did a national tour together. So we like drove all over the country and a couple East Coast stuff. It was pretty fun, and so that was, we did some of my songs and we wrote some songs together too. It was mostly we mostly played his songs though. Um and after we stopped playing together, I just really felt like I had the bug and wanted to keep going, and so I did, and I wrote some songs with some other people, and then I had my kids, and life like really, slowed down. Like you kind of when you have little babies at home, like you're a little bit of in a fishbowl, and that only inspired me to write more because I just needed like an outlet.
That's awesome.
Something to do that made me feel like me. So yeah, so I wrote a lot of songs when they were babies, and always kind of hoping someday that I would be able to do a band.
Well, you did one hell of a band. You got that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so I was playing solo music, and I played a show with Kittner, and James reached out to me shortly after, and he was like, "Have you ever thought about putting your songs to like full band?" And I was like, "That's all I want in this world."
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
that's how we
like I
got
said,
hooked up.
from seeing you guys play live, it seems like you're having a lot of fun. The music video for Common Delivered, you guys look like you're having a blast. Like, I just like the way it was shot. Like I felt like I was there with you guys, just laughing and having fun in the car. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool because like you could do things like you can make a song like that, right? And then you go shoot the video, and you can just be as silly as you want, and like it's it just works, it just works, and yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see out there with this stuff. And like so here's another reason why I'm bad at the internet, right? So I was on my phone, and I went on Facebook for something, and I saw you guys in a picture and I didn't realize it was an article that Vicky wrote in the Boston Globe, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I want to read this, and then like someone texted me, so I opened up the text and I went back to Facebook, it was gone, and I was like, no. So, but then like today I went on your guys' Facebook, and I saw like there was like a screenshot of like the cover, right, and like and I was like, oh, and then I saw it was the Boston Globe, and like it took me like months to cancel my Boston Globe, so I can't, like, I don't want to open up that can of worms again. But I want to read it, so I'm going to try to figure that one out. But I say
Tomorrow
all that
morning, you go to the gas station and you can buy a copy, and it'll be in print.
Yes. And by the way, Vicky's one of the most like ride hard for this community people I know. She reminds me of like Angel Wood. She reminds me of Angel Wood. Like,
Yeah,
Angel Wood.
absolutely.
Ever since I was like young and listening to Angel on the radio, like she always rode hard for Boston music, and like so like yeah, my hat's always off. And Vicky did a really awesome piece and included the record club in it one time, and I was like, my hat's off. Everything she does is great. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so the topic of it was like, basically like it's kind of is it weird to be self-promoting in times like we are today? And like, we don't have to, I want people to read the article. I want them to go get the article. So we can talk about it offline, but like, I want to say it's not, because we need bands like Cape Crush and for people to relate to. And I think the more, and it's just, that's the game we play. We have to self-promote, right? Like I hate social media, but I have to go on there for two reasons. One, I owe it to the people who come on my podcast and talk shit with me for an hour or so, you know what I mean, to promote their episode. But at the same time, like, I want people to listen and find these bands and find this other way to relate to people. You know what I'm saying? So like, it is definitely, like I said, like now more than ever, we need bands like Cape Crush out there. So
100%. Yeah.
My answer to you is self promote. And it seems like you guys do a great job because you play a lot of shows. You go to a lot of places and play shows. And, and it seemed like you guys had like a bunch of things pop up recently for like media stuff for you guys, right?
Yeah, we've gotten some really nice press coverage on Common Delivered. It's yeah, you're always so chuffed when anybody is interested in covering your song, even if it's just like quoting the press release and embedding the Bandcamp. Like it is a yeah, it's a great feeling for sure. parents love when I'm in the Boston Globe, by the way. So it's always a treat, and I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, we do need art and music during this time. It's such a weird like political climate, and you're like, oh man, times are really changing, and the climate and the atmosphere is really changing, and the way that the world looks at our country is really changing, the way that the people look at their government and like constitutional rights is really changing. And you're like, meanwhile on social media you're like, big things coming. And so there's opportunity there, I think, to like be like, this is not normal, like we don't want it to be normal, but also like we fucking need art. We really do. We need art and we need artists, and there's just like innate activism in the act of being a creative. So I don't know, show up, go to shows, like community building is like an important piece of activism as well, and being in your local community, whether it's like hosting a podcast or writing articles about local bands, or like just buying a ticket and
or taking pictures,
buying a ticket, being there. Like those are, I think, their own forms of like building this community, which like in turn fights back against like the authoritarian climate that we're descending into. So
crazy. It is crazy. And like, I'm old, right? So like people I grew up with that I see like that just like they're okay with it. I'm like, you would not be okay with this. Like, and I'm not even speaking from like I know some like hard people, you know what I mean? I'm like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, like, guess what? Once they get rid of everybody that doesn't look like them, they're going to focus on you next. You know what I mean? Like, some people just don't get it. I just don't understand. It blows my mind. And like, I try, like, I mean, it's, you can't not talk about it with the podcast, right? But like, I do try to, like, we'll touch on it and then move on to something else, because I try to keep some kind of a positive space for what we got going on. And like, but like, I definitely want to acknowledge it, which we, like we just did, you know what I mean? And like how important it is to have art and to be creative. And like, I mean, we've all seen these post-apocalyptic movies, like the first thing they get rid of is art, right? So
right. I mean, and I think that's the point of Vicky's article in the Globe. And I know that it's hard because it's behind a paywall for a lot of folks, so they don't get to read it, but like that is exactly the sentiment. It's like, this is we need this, like we need it as a community and as a society. So like, don't give up, show up.
Hell yeah. Now, just I'm all over the place. We're gonna shoot back to the record real quick. You guys, it got picked up by a label.
We are putting it out through Wanna Hear It Records. Okay. Famously known for Wanna Hear It Records in Watertown. The records are it's a, like my favorite place on earth. I'm sure you've been in there.
I haven't. I have not. Oh, I think man. I went there once I went there with somebody once before we were going to a show, and it was like closed for some reason. It was like yeah. It's in Watertown, you said, right?
In Watertown, yeah. And they carry, like, I mean, you're a fan of like punk and indie emo hardcore, like that. It's like, it is the store for that. They really do get a lot of like super cool things, super cool pressings and variants and like, all that kind of stuff. That it's just such a cool vibe. But Joey used to run 6131 Records and put out Women in Peril this past year, and was kind of looking for something else to put out because he remembered how fun it was, and hit us up, which was so great because we were just totally planning to self-release it. But a lot of synergy because we are, we're community builders. Like that's a big part of what we do as a band, to give back, and feeling like putting out our record with a local record store is like totally synergistic.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Now speaking of community, I want to talk about Moonbase One a little bit. I have yet to go on there, and I'm sorry, but I've heard nothing but great things. I've seen you guys have put a lot of bands through there, and then again, I was on social media not too long ago, and I seen that there was you guys had a petition going to. Mm-hmm. To get a license or something, or so tell me what happened, because I see it as like gentrifiers are mad that there's this community space for all ages, and that it pisses me off. Like
it's wild. You move downtown and then you're like, oh, downtown things are happening. But really, so I'll tell you about the program. So Moonbase One is a tenant on Artist Row, and Artist Row is a city program that provides incubator spaces for up and coming creative businesses. So we applied and received a subsidized rent. We're a tenant of the city of Salem. We were approved by the city of Salem's Public Arts Commission, and the prior tenant also held performances, not as often, but they were there. And so the history of our stall there on Artist One is that it's been a performance space probably since 2019, even before the city's art administrator was there, and it's always operated in a kind of under the purview of the city. So things like licensing, even think about like PRO licensing, like BMI and ASCAP, like all of that kind of happens under the purview of the city. After receiving a number of noise complaints from a loud minority, the police were like, well, where's their license? Like, what do we enforce? What are the rules? Essentially. So they really didn't know how to come down and make sure that we weren't throwing parties until 1 a.m. We don't. All shows are over by 10 p.m. But there was a little bit of a misunderstanding, like, between the city, like not because of anything that we did wrong, but like that the city's right hand doesn't know what the city's left hand is doing. So sorry, Ripley is yawning and wondering when we're going to bed. So the petition you saw is really us kind of engaging the public process, which, as we went in front of the licensing committee, they had a lot of questions about the program in general, not so much Moonbase One, but the program and how it supports a organization like Moonbase, which is community arts, specifically performing arts. So we engaged the system by applying some public pressure and really showed them, like, okay, so we've got a couple of neighbors who don't like the sound, particularly screaming bands, which was a big part of the complaints, where it was just that the bands were screaming. And they actually used speed metal a lot in their complaints too. That they thought that there was speed metal happening.
Speed metal. Jesus, what is this? 1984? Like
it's like Satanic Panic. Yeah. And so we just had to show, like, that's there might be a loud minority here, but there's a really loud majority that believe in all ages music and want it to happen in downtown Salem. So we were so grateful to receive over 1,000 signatures in 3 days, right in front of it was really incredible. And then we were really lucky to have some respected members of the community show up to speak and provide public comment as well on the commission meeting. So it was, they approved our license, which is terrific. But yeah, it's a really amazing example of, like, and for going back to, like, how existential everything feels, like how you can make a little bit of a difference. And if there's something that you care about in your community, like access to all ages music, like, go engage your government. And like, this was a really wonderful example of a community coming together to do that successfully.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So just like give everyone listening or watching, I forget we do video too, like just break down what Moonbase One, like what you guys do there, all, for everything.
Yeah, Moonbase One is so we're a nonprofit. Our mission is to increase access to underground music, and we are a performance space with a capacity of 50 now. That's a
50.
Story for another day. 50. Yeah. So very, very small room, and we provide an intimate performance space right in the heart of downtown Salem. So
That's
all
awesome.
ages, sober venue, and we do weekend shows 6 to 10.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I know a couple of bands that came through, and I think they had played there and everything. And I had asked them about it, like, "Oh, it's awesome! You got to go up there." I'm like, "I know. I live like on the opposite side of the world." So, yeah. I do though. I know people in Salem too, so it's not like it would be hard to just go up there and go, "Hey, we're gonna go to this show." It's just like, it's got to line up. It's just got to line up.
When there's a lineup you want. But yeah, the shows are awesome. We've learned a lot. I'm really grateful for the program and for the city's support of local arts. Hope it has legs. It's a short-term lease, so we might be around for a short time. We might be around for a little bit longer, but certainly it's provided a great service for the local music community and really the greater Boston community. And we were there at the Boston Music Awards with you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. Seriously, we need stuff like that. We need venues. Agreed. Like little venues like that. And what was the capacity before?
So
ambiguous,
but yeah. we were selling 60 tickets as a sellout.
Yeah,
so 10 more-ish.
Yeah. That's cool though. I like those. We did something. We did like a storytelling with like live music thing one time, and I hosted it. And I got this, like, went back to my hometown in Rhode Island to this little, like, this place that closed down in the 80s, and I remember it being there when I was a kid, and we were able to do it in like one of their rooms there, and I was super pumped. It was like a 50 person. It was still like, it was a decent turnout, and I think the more word gets out about stuff like that, it will, what I mean? Like, people are going to want to go to it more. And, and I'm sure you guys, like I said, like everyone I know that's gone there is like, they love it. I know people that want to play there. I know people that, what I mean? So,
right. Yeah. It's important to have dedicated performance space. Like, it's so cool. It's great to see a show at a bar. Like nobody hates that, but like, there's just nothing that really serves the under 21 population that is on the up and up. So it's, that population deserves some nightlife. Like, there's got to be a place for young people to go, and there's got to be a place for sober people to go, and there's got to be a place for everyone to go and make music. And so I think it's a really vital service.
Hell yeah. I've done, I think, 4 or 5 shows here at my part. We call it the Struggle Dome over here in Whitensville, Massachusetts, and we had like 30 people in my apartment for one of them, and then outside we've had up to about 50 people out in the yard during the summer. Did I see that
you're doing some this summer?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm trying to find some bands that want to play this summer. So.
We might be interested.
All right. We'll do that. We can do that. We can talk. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's talk.
So listen, as we wind down, I know it's late and the puppy wants to go to bed. So, where can people find Cape Crush? Where can they find you guys, like, to interact with on social media? Where can they find your music and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend going to our website, capecrushma.com. Which will have links to everything that you need. But you can find us on Bandcamp. You can find us on your favorite streaming service. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, X.
You guys, I follow you on TikTok. Whenever I see a video pop up, I hit the button. So
thank you. Yeah, I have not cracked the code for TikTok.
Me neither.
We're too old.
I think I'm too old.
Yeah, me too.
But
me too.
I'm trying.
Yeah. I got a buddy who like makes money on TikTok, and like, yeah, he's really funny. He's a comedian. He does all this stuff, but he makes money. Like, he was working for a radio station. He was telling me how like he makes more money on TikTok. I'm like, why don't you just do that then? You know, and like he helped me get to a point where I can go live, and I've never done it. so I'm like,
yeah, I'm not planning on going live anytime soon. No. I don't know if I've ever done that.
Well, listen, like I said, I had a chance tonight to hear the entirety of Place Memory. It's awesome. I hope the masses hear it and like it gets out there, and I hope to see you guys at a show, I'm sure at some point this year. Not during your hibernation period, but post hibernating, get out there, stretch the legs, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, please do. I think I can announce it here, but we are doing our record release on July 10th at Deep Cuts. So TBD, but definitely going to be a big show. So I'm excited for it. Thank you so much for checking out the whole record.
Oh, of course. I'm so happy I just clicked on something and it
it's a big undertaking. It's a lot of music. It's long.
Oh, it's great. I love it. I'm a full album. Like I love full albums. I love songs and I love EPs, but sometimes I'm like, I just want to hear more. And like, I feel like for me, my old ass, like listening to an LP of a band really allows me to dig in. You know what I mean? To everything. Cause like sometimes I'm like, that single was awesome. I wish there was more, you know what I mean? And like, so like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, from track 1 all the way through track 10. And I have a feeling it's going to do very well once it's out there. So when does it release?
It releases on May 1st.
May 1st. All right. So I'm going to give you guys some homework. When we get closer to May 1st, let me know and I'll make sure I make some kind of like post for it. I would love to do that for you guys. And the other thing is like when we get closer to the record release party or record release show, let me know. Maybe we can have you back on to talk about what's to come.
Yeah.
You guys can come on whenever you want. James, you know this. You've been on a bunch of times. So
whenever I want.
Yeah. So whenever you guys want to come back, just shoot me a holler and we'll get you on, so, but I would love to help like promote the show and promote the album once it's released and everything. Cause like I said, it's really good. So, and I hope to see you guys out there soon, like I said, and I wish nothing but the best for Cape Crush. I can't wait to hear the next album,
Me too. Thank you so much, Trev. Thanks for having us on.
Of course. Anytime. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.